Bloop, bloop, bloop. And so Camellia ended up in the hands of the kidnappers. We weren't able to change that part. Lynn listened to my story without saying anything. I'm sorry, I wish there was something else I could have done. No, you did the best you could. I'm sure she's alright after all. After all, she has me! Missile? Are you in there? Miss Lynn! Leave Miss Camellia to me. I know I don't look like much right now, but I'm sure I can help her. Missile. Uh-oh. Missile's gonna fly away. Miss Lynn! I'm going to leave it up to Missile. Kind of looks like Missile is being left up to the wind. Ooh! I have something to give you. Oh hoo! Stop to the park and be turned into a housing site. Protect the park of the Rock of the Gods. Aren't you forgetting your promise? Oh, pardon me, pardon me. My apology, this is for you. Oh. What? You kept the music box safe, didn't you? Thanks. That's all. I was only doing what the Rock of the Gods. Doing it for the Rock Guys would have wanted. What's the matter? Cat got your tongue? He's mesmerized by my beauty. Hey, Cat's not allowed to get your tongue. Is he being manipulated right now? Excuse me, but are you... No, it couldn't be. Have we met before? Aren't you the little girl from that time? I'll never forget it. It was 10 years ago in this park. 10 years ago? Are you talking about... I'm guessing I'm going to the mines. Talking to this guy. Here in this park, the gods surely control fate. Today, 10 years from that day, we met once again. If that isn't the power of the gods, then what else is? It could have just been coincidence. But apparently, you know our lady detective here. Couldn't you tell us what happened? What could you tell us about it? About what happened 10 years ago? Yes, of course. I was actually about to do just that. Alright, Rock of the Gods. What's this Rock of the Gods you keep mentioning? Don't you know it's right there in front of us? Is he talking about Mino? Oh no, he's talking about... Our Missile's dead? I don't understand. Poor little guy. Missile. Wait a minute. So you say G-O-D-S, but do you mean D-O-G-S? Of course not. Don't be silly. This is no time for ridiculous word games. You are standing just above the Rock of the Gods right now. Take a good look at the monument. Monument? Rock of the Gods, Temsic Park. The Rock of the Gods. Oh, that's what that thing is. It's freaking out. The rock is buried in the ground right there. It's been there 10 years. Ever since that day, it flew down from the heavens and showed us a miracle. A miracle. So this rock you've been talking about, is it a meteorite? Precisely. It dropped from the sky in a day 10 years ago. Yes, of course. Surely you know all about it. Me? Alright, 10 years ago. That day, I just happened to be passing through this park. I had no idea that day would change my destiny. The sun was going down, and through the gloom, I heard the scream of a little girl. Eek! Oh, that's what he means. Now just calm down and drop that weapon. Stay back! If you come any closer, I'll shoot her. I peeked out fearfully from the bushes and saw some shadowy figures. I didn't see the face of the criminal clearly. What, was the criminal Cecil? I knew I should do something to help, but I couldn't move. The tension was so thick, it was painful, just when I couldn't stand it any longer. Then when it happened, the sky suddenly burned bluish white. When it crashed into the ground. Oh, that was playing by itself. The meteorite gave off the shower of beautiful fragments. And then I saw it. One of those beautiful fragments pierced into the criminal's back. The judgments of the gods was brought down on the park that day. Interesting. 10 years ago, the little girl was saved by the Rock of the Gods. Oh my, I can't believe it. The Rock of the Gods was given a name, Temsik. And still today, it lies sleeping deep in the park's earth. Temsik. I never knew about this Temsik. I always thought Detective Jad was the one who saved me. You were very young then. And you passed out from the shock of being taken hostage, of course. You wouldn't remember. But that's funny. A huge incident like that should have caused quite a stir. It's strange you never heard of it, Lynn.
It is, isn't it? But now that I think about it, I remember I didn't want to think about what happened. I avoided the news and never came back to the park again. That's why I didn't know anything about it.
The meteorite was named Temsik after the name of the park that it fell in. And then the Rock of the Gods was forgotten. Now, an awful thing has happened. They're talking about turning this park into a housing unit. I'll never forget the miracle I witnessed that day. And so I've been taking up residence in this park, and I'm trying to appeal to the people. I don't think you're able to. I don't think anyone is able to live within a park. I don't think that's absolutely legal, per se. Some parks have rules where you can't be there at dark or early sunrise, dusk and dawn. Protect the park, the Rock of the Gods. That's my mission.
I see.
I'm guessing I have to go inside the Rock of the Gods, don't I? I'm gonna get some new crazy powers.
I'm taking you with me, Missile.
So 10 years ago, the little girl that was Lynn wasn't aware of the meteorite. I get that, but Detective Jowd, on the other hand, there's no way he didn't know about the Temsik thing. And if he knew, and the man died, I took his life. What was that confession of all of his? Was that confession of his all about? The rocks of the gods that fell from the sky 10 years ago changed the destinies of many lives, like the ripples of a pond when the pebbles is dropped in. With every answer I get, I learn a new mystery. Well, will I be able to break the chain of mysteries before dawn? Anyway, now that I have the evidence we need, we decide to meet up again at the minister's office. Besides, there are a few things I want to ask Detective Jowd. No, I want to go inside the meteorite. Stop it. It was things.
We found the music box, Detective Jowd.
Good job, Lynn. I knew you would. Once everything has been resolved, I wanted you to give this to him.
Him? You mean Inspector Cabanella, right?
I don't suppose he'll ever forgive me.
Detective Jowd.
Now then, let's get this thing open. There's a certain knack to doing it, you know. Ripping it open? He calls that a knack. It looks like brute strength to me. Don't know how that fits in the box. You should find scorch marks on the grip.
Scorch marks?
When Camellia built her contraption, she used a special kind of string. It's kind of magician's use. It burns up in an instant and disappears.
Why would Camellia use something like that?
I don't know. Maybe because she's a detective's daughter. Not leaving evidence behind at all that and all that. In the case report, there was mention of some scorch marks. Ah, that dude died. When it happened, Camellia was watching from her hiding place. She saw the flame run to the gun, something she naturally didn't include in her design. I took the gun out of the frame and replaced it with a picture. If you remove the picture, you should find scorch marks too behind it on the frame also. And those marks should match up with the ones on the gun.
In other words,
it proves the contraption existed there in that room that day. And it didn't work the way your little girl intended, is that right? Exactly. Some cowardly culprit modified the design. The angle was never brought up in court, and so the Justice Minister, I must call off the execution at this point.
I knew I was right. It wasn't Detective Zhao. Now we can finally prove that. Thank goodness.
Thank you, Lin. In those eyes of yours, I see the eyes of that little girl from 10 years ago. Why would he just be called off clean like that? I don't understand. If new stuff happens within a case and the person's proven not guilty, they actually do stay in jail. They're not taken out. I believe that's right. I'm not sure, but I think that's the case. Once a sentence happens, you still have to live through it. Cecil, if you hadn't come to my cell tonight, I would have been gone by now, without ever having known any of this. This is what I deserve. That's what I told myself the past 5 years. But things are different now. Thanks to you, my eyes have finally been opened. Tonight, I've come into contact with a lot of people's lives and got involved in their fates. The only reason I was doing it was so I could regain my own lost memory. But things are different now. We're connected to each other somehow. I just know it. And that's why I need to ask you a few more questions, in order to find the truth about us. Fair enough. Fire away. Alright then, let's see. The manipulator.
Cecil told me about it, Detective Zhao. About the manipulator.
Yes, and it looks like this manipulator really did a number on the minister too. Please, don't pick on the minister. If he dies again, I'm the one who has to save him.
Cecil, do you think that's what happened to me too?
What are you talking about, Lin? Don't tell me. You were manipulated too.
There was always a part of me that couldn't believe it. That image of the one who shot me.
But I see the possibility of a new explanation. I was reading it as Lin's voice. I thought it was Lin.
But who is it? And why did they do it?
More questions and little answers.
That contraption was a birthday surprise for Camelia's mother, wasn't it?
That's right.
Something's been bothering me about it. I feel like I know that device from somewhere.
No surprise there. You lost your life once tonight because of that machine.
Right, I knew it. See, Detective Zhao?
No, I'm afraid I don't see. I told Detective Zhao about it. I told him about seeing the exact same contraption tonight on a completely different place. That's very strange indeed. A junkyard on the edge of town? I've never heard of the place. And what's more, I've never told a single soul about that contraption.
You haven't?
That old pigeon guy. Who in the world is he? He probably tested it out, right? Detective Zhao, you must have heard this name before. Temsic. The meteorite that fell in the park 10 years ago, you were there. So you found out about that, did you? I hear that the meteorite saved little Lin's life. That's right. I couldn't do anything to help Lin that day. But in that case, I don't get it. If it's true, doesn't it mean you didn't steal somebody's life away?
What are you talking about?
Detective Zhao, you told me that 10 years ago, the person who killed the perpetrator in the park was you.
What? But it was the meteorite.
I wasn't lying. I stole that man's life away, no question about it. It was entirely my fault. I was just about to shoot him. I would have shot him the next instant if the meteorite hadn't come. At that point, I was already a murderer.
That's not true. You were trying to save me.
Lin, I'm sorry, but I don't think that's really it.
Huh?
Come on, man, just tell us.
I pressed the manipulator.
Ugh. Why? Why does it start up at top, dude? On the day of on that day, 10 years ago, a different incident happened at another place.
Another place?
Yes, in the police headquarters interrogation room. The worst sort of accident. A suspect was being questioned and escaped.
Well, I didn't know about that.
I happened to be there in the detective division, so I joined the case. Fortunately, or I guess unfortunately, I was able to track him down alone in the park. Hold it right there! I fired a warning shot. I wanted to catch him bad. The warning shot made him panic. At that time, I was a young and green detective, brandished my sense of justice like a sword. I made him panic and got you involved, Lin. It was all my fault.
Detective Zhao.
All I could see was my target. I couldn't even see you. I'm sorry, Lin.
So the man who grabbed me died that day.
These last 10 years, I'd never forgotten his face. And then a few years after that, when my wife Alma died in such a mysterious way, I thought it was fate. I punished him for what I've done. Probably was. I painted pictures in my cell, nothing but portraits of people's faces. All the faces of the many people I'd met in my life and didn't want to forget. And tonight, I finished my last portrait, the final face I wanted to remember, which is Cecil's. The final face. The face of the man in the park that day. Hell yeah, I was right. Wait just a minute. That can't be! I saw that painting! I saw the face you painted tonight! It was Cecil. Or Cecil. Or Sizzle. I don't know. It was my face? Are you telling me I was the man in the park that night? That's right. That face of yours is the face I saw 10 years ago. The face of the man whose life I stole, of the man who was pronounced dead at the scene.
But hold on, Detective Zhao. It can't be true. I just met Cecil for the first time tonight. And he died right in front of me.
By the way, the name that I know the man in the park that day by isn't Cecil. What? For the first minute I laid eyes on you tonight, I've been wondering, who in the world is this guy? No! Cock-fucking phone. Come on! Mr. Minister? Inspector Cabanella? Where are you? Just be quiet and listen. This is our demand. What? Demand? Our demand hasn't changed. The execution must be tonight. Once we confirm it's been carried out, we'll release the hostage. What are you talking about, Inspector Cabanella? And you know it wasn't my daughter who was abducted. Doesn't it really matter who the hostage is? A life is a life. Even if it's the daughter of the death row prisoner. Once the criminal gets the punishment he deserves, the hostage will go free. Carry on the execution immediately and wait for our call. Are you serious?
What is it, Mr. Minister? You look paler than ever.
What in the world? What's going on, Inspector Cabanela? The Rock of the Gods that fell from the sky 10 years ago twisted the fates of many people and started a chain of tragic events. And even now, the chain continues to go even longer. Inspector Cabanela called proved that to us. The greatest mystery has all risen to the surface. Who is this me I've been chasing all night? Who am I? Which is a really good Jackie Chan movie. I'm even further from knowing that than when I started. Maybe that rock, guys, that fragment. That's the things that give him special powers, because if you see Missile died next to that rock that was emulating, is it emulating? Emitting those little waves, blunt waves. They're not blunt waves. Blunt waves are Dragon Ball GT shitty. But those waves probably gave the thing what Missile needed for his powers, and he did say a meteorite did go into Sissy's back, but that's probably the reason why he was able to get ghost tricks, you know? That's why few people, maybe that meteorite is the thing that caused it. Save and continue.